That's always the problem when I leave. I always go before anyone's even really noticed that I've come. But you could really make a splash.
So, Plenty's a play that looks at the aftermath of World War II and the misconceptions people have about this period, seeing it as a time of celebration and, as the name suggests, plenty. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Do you want to go first?
Yes, so one of the sort of elements of the play that I think is most important is it draws on the fact that 75% of women who worked in the SOE during the war were divorced in the 10 years after, and that's compared to just, I think it's a 3%? 5% divorce rate overall. And I think that sort of tallies nicely with the notion of plenty and the sort of bountiful idea of a post-war Britain, particularly when you have to ask a couple of things versus, you know, is it enough to just have bounty?
So you touch upon some sensitive issues during the play, such as the position of women and mental health. Why do you think these issues were so prevalent after the war?
Well, it was, I mean, particularly in the case of Susan, but just in general, you had women being entirely placed into something where they were given such independence and authority, and then all of a sudden they're back to being dislocated from that.
How wonderful of you to make an appearance.
I'm only sorry I couldn't be here sooner.
Oh, Brooke says you've been having the most frightful week. I hear you're all ragged with fatigue.
It has been, yes.
Oh, well, here at least you can relax.
It's interesting, so whereas the experience of men with mental health after the war would have been more like kind of trauma and stuff like that, whereas for women it was more having that sense of independence ripped away from you, as Courtney said, which can lead to more kind of feelings of depression rather than trauma.
Well, nobody will say the words Suez Canal.
That will be an enormous relief.
They are banned.
Thank you, my dear.
Nasser? Nobody will mention his name.
Quite.
Nobody will say folly or fiasco or international laughingstock.
You want to play, but there's a lot of plays that I've been in where I've been playing a woman or a girl who isn't that substantial in her character, whereas here, my character, and definitely for Susan, there's just this kind of real meat to get your teeth into, which is so nice. And the only time I've ever had that before is when I've been playing a boy's part.
It focuses less on a sort of cultural or societal movement of despondency or discontentment. It's very, very character-led. So I think in that sense, yes, I mean there are analogies that you can draw with the recession and that kind of thing, but I think actually everyone has had that experience of sort of on the brink of the future, expecting whatever it might be, and usually entertaining some level of optimism.
So the play draws upon ideas of dissatisfaction and degeneration. What relevance do you think that has today, and what might people learn from the play?
I think, as Luke was saying, one of the key things is that everyone is optimistic when they think to the future. And there's always this sort of balancing act, particularly when you're in a sort of society that has high expectations, a lot of energy, a lot of drive, to be optimistic and to always be perpetually disappointed with your life at the same time.
I'm frightened of what the next step will be.
I can imagine.
The sexual pressure is intolerable.